Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my weekly review for this week's episode of The Walking Dead. This one will be for The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 7, Dead Weight. Alright, so as always, my reviews for The Walking Dead do contain spoilers. Want to go in depth, so we're going to get into spoiler territory. So for those of you who have not seen the episode yet, you're going to want to go ahead and watch it and then come back and watch the review afterwards. So what did I think about this week's episode? Man, this was a crazy, crazy episode. I want to say that this is maybe one of the biggest cliffhanger endings we have had in the Walking Dead television series so far, where this episode left off. Compare this to sort of like the season 3 finale cliffhanger where you had Daryl and Merle, if you guys remember, in The Governor, when you have all the people in Woodbury standing around them. This felt a lot like that, like this type of a cliffhanger. The good thing about it, though, is that we don't have to wait until February to see it. We've got one more episode before the break, and then of course the show will return in February. This season, man, I have been so impressed with just how different this season has been from all the other seasons in The Walking Dead. This episode right here was so cool. It made me glad that they actually kept the governor alive all this time. A lot of people were hoping he would have died in the season 3 finale with the assault on the prison and all that kind of stuff. At this point, after seeing this episode, I am now glad they kept him alive. One of the coolest things about what they chose to do is we never got to see the rise of the governor to taking over Woodbury. We saw that he was the man in charge there. We saw that he, became this crazy leader that essentially had designed an entire small society of 50, was it around 50 people or so, in Woodbury originally, before they started, all dying off with the whole war with Rick's group and everything like that, being assimilated into Rick's group at the prison. We never got to see the governor form Woodbury. We never got to see him, how he was able to take control, become the leader of this kind of hardened group, which is a lot different than Rick's group, where you have group members that are not exactly obedient. All these characters have to do things in order to feed the, stealing supplies and doing things like that. In order to feed Woodbury, you're going to have characters like Merle and people like this, and we never got to see the governor's rise to power and how he deals with people that are his are threats to him and his crown, so to speak, right? And this one has some really interesting dynamics that we got to see him actually, kind of the whole chess thing. This was really brilliantly written, I must say. Working in the chess thing and the puzzle pieces and the chess pieces and how he's going to take over the group, who he has to take out and eliminate, and who he can kind of who he thinks he can control. Now, brilliant, very brilliant stuff. My favorite thing about this is the title is Dead Weight, and we hear Martinez say to the governor, or say to Brian or Philip, however you want to refer to him. In the TV series, neither one is really wrong because we don't know from this show exactly what his name really is. If they're going along with the story of the books or the novels, then of course it is Brian. But in the TV series, it kind of seems more like his actual name is Philip, and he saw the Brian thing on the wall, so he took that name, right? But yeah, I mean, we never got to see all of these interesting things, and I'm really glad we did get a chance, and they actually wrote this in so that we could see him take over. Dead Weight. Martinez says, no dead weight. I thought that was really a brilliant title, because when you think about it from Martinez's perspective, he says that, and then the governor takes that and sort of it's like the title is referring more to the governor than it is Martinez. Sure, Martinez said that, but the governor starts looking at people in that group that he does not need, that he considers to be dead weight for himself, or in other words, threatening type people that could be either leaders or in charge or things of this nature that he feels are going to jeopardize what he wants to do with the group and his command, and he just starts taking them out left, right, and center. So the first one, the Martinez kill. this one was one of the most cruel kills we have seen. And we saw it with the whole Merle versus the governor type thing at the end of season 3, if you guys remember, where he bit Merle's fingers off, where it's like he's this clean-cut, guy, or at least he was, now he's got the patch, but really clean-cut looking guy, looks like he could be your, 5th grade school teacher or something, or principal at school. Like if you get in trouble, you go see the principal. And then underneath, he's just this freaking psychopath, this sociopath that has gotten to the point where even though he doesn't need to really kill Martinez and kill Pete and do these things that he does in this episode, he can't help himself. He just can't help himself. The line that he says, so he of course, man, that was shocking when they're playing golf, and of course he in the back just takes Martinez down, throws him off, and then drags him into the pit. All while he's saying, I don't want it. I don't want it. So what is I don't want it referring to? What is he saying? It's kind of like, okay, here's my interpretation of it. Now, this is open to anyone's interpretation, but my interpretation as a viewer, my analysis of what he's saying I don't want it as if it's sort of like I think he's having a battle within himself, and he's saying, I don't want the title. I don't want to be in charge. I don't want to be the leader of this group. But at the same time, he cannot stop himself from killing Martinez and taking control. So he doesn't want to, on the surface, he doesn't want to. He wants to just leave, or whatever the case may be, but he's got this inner turmoil, this inner struggle, and his id, so to speak, if you're a psychology person, his id has actually taking control, and his conscious cannot contain it. His id has taken over, and he is, killing Martinez, even though his conscious is telling him, no, you don't want this, you don't want to kill him, you don't want to do this, you don't want to be the leader anymore because of what happened last time. But his inner desire, the animal just comes out, and he cannot contain himself, he cannot control himself. He is compelled to kill Martinez and take control of the group, because that's who he is. So that's psychologically, this is one of the most profound episodes in terms of like a character study and just adding density to a character that we have ever seen in The Walking Dead, which is why I love it so much. This is the type of stuff that we have not seen since Shane in season 2. Rick's changes as he killed Dave and Tony in the bar. All these different types of things we have not seen for a really long time. So that's why I'm such a fan of this episode. He's battling, the id wins, he does it. So he goes forward with it, and there's no going back. You can tell that his conscious, he's battling, he's telling the girls he wants to leave, but at the same time, he ends up just doing what he does. His conscious can't contain it. It's so weak at this point, his id overpowers it, and he turns to Pete. Very shocking scene with Pete where he literally just stabs him right in the back. Oh man. And then later on, the scene where he's standing over the water and he's looking down, and you can see Pete, zombie Pete, is trying to swim up, but he's weighed down by what was it, like a ball and chain or something like that in the water. I couldn't see, it wasn't that clear, not important though. But he's like swimming up towards him, and he's just standing there staring at him, which reminded me of the scenes in the comic book series and earlier in the TV series where he would take the walkers' heads, put them in the fish tanks, and just stare at them. Same type of situation, almost as if to say he's doing some introspection, he's thinking about what he's doing, and because he's very intellectual, of course, right? The governor is, we know that. And it's kind of like he leaves him there rather than killing him, as sort of like to show it as almost like a trophy, just like the heads in the fish tanks. Like he has conquered this, and now he can move forward. He has killed Pete. He's right there, and nobody knows about it. Everyone thinks he's a hero. Same type of thing as he used to do in Woodbury. Just playing people, man. Just playing mind games with people. And the only one who really knows about it is Mitch, who it seemed like he was going to kill at first, but Mitch's skills are so useful with being a tank operator that he, and against other groups, if you can have a tank operator and a tank on your side with someone who knows all of how to use it, what it needs, the fuel, how to fire off, rocket, how to work the tank 100%, and can maybe show him how to work the gun or something like that, or somebody else. That's a guy that's worth risking keeping on your side. So even though he might be a bit of a threat, it seems to me like Mitch is worth the risk to him, and he does get the sense that with the gun on him and everything like that, another great scene, that he can control him so as to keep him around, have him use the tank, but be under the agreement that if Mitch does not want to die, he has to absolutely follow the governor's lead. And being one of those types of characters, the governor can kind of sniff out that this is someone he can control. This is someone that he can, will follow word. I mean, he was in the army, right? He was in the military, so that's all about rank and chain and following orders, absolutely, right? So, he sees him as the type of person, enough of a follower that he can dominate him in that kind of way, even though, he has killed Pete, and he probably knows he's killed Martinez too. I mean, he's stupid, but he's not that stupid. He can tell, right? He knows. But he's just so afraid of him and afraid of just this monster that he used to call One Eye and used to pick on earlier on, that he is going to absolutely obey his every command. Wow, so very, very profound stuff. Really liked all of this, concentration on the governor we've had these last 2 episodes, so that when he does attack the prison, or we've seen it in the preview for next week, when he does roll up to the prison, it's going to be one of the types of situations where it will feel really fluid, like he wouldn't just show up there all of a sudden, even though that was done well in Home last season, that episode 10, season 3. This is really cool because we've seen him go from the leader and of this huge community, which is even bigger than Rick's group, to losing everything, almost wanting to die, or basically becoming a zombie, like we saw last episode with him just kind of stumbling around like lifeless, right? It's almost like he's become a walker. Very cool. And then this family that he finds, the girls bring him back to life, and then of course he stumbles into Martinez and his group, joins the group. There's a good amount of people there, some good weaponry, and of course the tank, which helps a lot when you're fighting other survivors, because how are they going to deal with that? Especially if it's got a tank operator who knows what he's doing. How are you gonna mess with that? I mean, God, that's just that's crazy. And then to what we're gonna see in the mid-season finale. So this is one of the most interesting and intense build-up to the battle we're gonna see coming in all of The Walking Dead. This was an amazing episode. Now, that being said, now there was some other things, but that being said, there was a few little things here in the episode that for me, when I was watching it, didn't exactly feel like they fit perfectly. The time sequencing of the episode, even though it was really good at the end, because as we saw at the end, we are now caught up to the sequence that we saw at the end of episode 5, right? Herschel says he'll go with Michonne on a little thing. You've got Rick and Carl there. We saw that before, and now we're seeing it from the governor's perspective. Time has matched. So as all the things that happened at the prison, those things were happening to the governor, and now we have been brought up to speed. Both groups are at the same chronological time, and we're going to see if the governor is going to pull the trigger or not. Wow, what a cliffhanger. That was exciting. It's almost like, okay, now here's the thing. You've got Rick and Carl there, but the governor's got a ride, right? You've got Michonne and Herschel. So what is he going to do? Is he going to pull the trigger? Is he not? That's really exciting stuff. What a great development. So we'll see what happens with that next week, and of course my predictions video will be up pretty much today if those of you guys are watching on Monday, or tomorrow if you're watching this late Sunday night after I post it. Predictions video will be up tomorrow. I'll concentrate on that and talk about that. Maybe even do a video on whether or not the governor will pull the trigger, because that's an interesting topic. I think, to me, that's a tough one. I'll touch on that when we get into the predictions video, because that's one I can talk about for a while. I don't want to include that in the review, because that's for next week's episode. So that was all good stuff. We find out that Schumpert didn't make it. Martinez was the one that had to put him down. So I really like that too, because a lot of people were wondering, as well as myself, what happened to Schumpert? Where is he? At the end of season 3, he was with them, and now he He's not. So what happened to him? He was actually taken out by a walker, believe it or not. He got careless. He got reckless after Woodbury, sort of lost it, and he did end up dying. So Martinez had to put him down, at least based on what Martinez says. So very good stuff. I want to say too, I did a predictions video last week, kind of talking about the whole governor versus Martinez thing, and that whole thing that the governor is cold enough to kill Martinez, right? But Martinez, even though he knows the governor, is not cold enough to kill him. He ends up making an excuse for himself, saying that he's with the girls, so he doesn't want to do that. When really he knows that if he wants to make it, he should know inside that he basically has to. He can't let the governor join their group, even though he seems like a changed man. Can't do it after what you've seen him do. Makes the mistake, soft, and pays for it. Now, I really liked all of the different espionage type scenes where the governor would take people out and do things to manipulate the people of the camp. Because, here's what I want to say. First thing is that the majority of the population is stupid. Okay, that's the first thing I want to say. Most people are dumb as shit. Most people you can manipulate pretty easily if you really want to, and they're not all that intelligent. In a zombie apocalypse, a guy like the governor who's a strategic mind, chess player, and cruel as all hell would, I think, be able to manipulate people to that level, because people would be dying all the time throughout a zombie apocalypse. So someone dying is like a regular occurrence. So people wouldn't think that the governor is so cold that just because he joined the group recently and all of a sudden these two people who are in charge or close to being in charge are dying, that he would be responsible for it. They just wouldn't think. And also, if they're good people, they wouldn't think that he's so cruel and he's got one eye, he doesn't look like it. So it fits perfectly that they would not even suspect anything. Even though he just joined, even still, they wouldn't suspect it because, he's got, like I said, he's got the one eye. Martinez is tough as hell. He has just joined up, but he seems really nice on the surface. And people just, the average person, I would think, in a zombie apocalypse would not expect someone to be as cold and as cruel as the governor to start taking people out to want to be in charge. Very good stuff. So let's see, I think that's most of what I wanted to say. Some of the scenery was cool here. The camp was cool. I like the look of it. The tank looks amazing. Let's see, the camp that they go to for supplies, or the little cabin or whatever it is, a little house type thing, and you see the people with their heads cut off. That was pretty cool. The daughter and the mom being alive afterwards. Zombie kill of the week, I think, would have to go to, I'd say a zombie kill of the week would be the governor. When pretty exciting scene when was it Pete or the other guy who almost got bitten, and then the governor bashes in the walkers' heads with his flashlight. So flashlight kill. So I like that one. That was good. Also cool stuff where Megan almost gets bitten and the governor saves her. But also at the same time, very important scene because he realizes through that he needs to get them a better place. This place is not safe enough. The walkers can get through without them really noticing, and people are in danger at that location. If they can get someplace like the prison, then they can sleep well at night, they can keep people on watch, and they really don't have to worry too much that the fences will keep walkers out. Or so he would think from his perspective, even though we've seen the flu going around inside the prison and all that kind of stuff. But even still, from his perspective, he would want to get them a safer place to protect her because he did promise and everything. So gets his gun back from season 3. That was cool too, to see the old gun that he used, if you guys remember, in the finale and all that in season 3. Let's see. I think that's pretty much everything. I mean, there's a lot of other lines and stuff like that, but I'm going on. The video's pretty long as it is already, so there'll be things I don't touch on, but I feel like I've covered most of the main things. It was a dense episode. A lot happened this week in this episode. It was not a filler episode or anything like that. We're in a different place now than we were at last week's episode. That's what I like that a lot, in a TV series where you're in a different place at the end of an episode as where you were before. You've got a lot of progression. You've got a lot of things happening. Characters are dying. Things are, that's what I love so much about The Walking Dead. Not every episode there's as much progression as there is in this week's episode. The governor has gone from just being, meeting Martinez to essentially taking over his entire group in one episode, and it felt natural, and the progression felt pretty good. And it was pretty well done. The only thing, like I said, was a little bit of the timing here and there was a little bit hard to follow. Like when he said they were going to leave, and then they didn't leave, and you got to pack your stuff, and then it cuts right to him making the other choice. A little bit here and there that was a little hard to follow. Some of the flashbacks at the beginning, I was able to follow them, but I think some people would feel it just didn't feel exactly, all that, clean, I guess I would say is the word, a little bit. So for that reason, I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10. I thought it was an incredible episode, and this mid-season finale looks like it's going to be one of the most exciting episodes of The Walking Dead we've ever had. Maybe the most exciting episode ever. Definitely the battle looks like it. So anyway, like I said, predictions video will be up tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a pretty in-depth review for you. People said they like the long videos, so I'll try to keep those going and see how it goes, see how people like it. Pretty much all I got to say. Let me know what you guys thought about this week's episode. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Some people don't like the governor concentration. I love it. Compared to seeing sick people at the prison, seeing different things like this, oh man, cannot go wrong. I've been really loving it. It's awesome. So really looking forward to next week's episode, and that's pretty much all I got to say for this one. I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, and I'm saying peace.